Hello there, very good evening. Well, this is the weekend edition of Primetime News. It is the 17th of March 2018. I'm Joel Outskoon. We're bringing in the news live and direct from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
Political heads comment on the no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister. UNP activists request for a new clean leadership. Gotabaya Rajapaksa speaks on serving the nation. Auditor General warns local dairy cows at risk due to importation of dairy cows. Shakib and Nurul fined for breaching ICC Code of Conduct in separate incidents.
Hello there, good evening to you. I thought of taking you with me to take a look at a topic that everyone seems to be discussing about these days. The leadership of the United National Party and the no-confidence motion against the leader Ranil Wickremesinghe. Now, the leadership of the party is not just being challenged by opposing political parties, but there is a rebellion within the party itself. A main reason for this build-up seems to be, or there seems to be two reasons for this. At the outset, we have to take a look at the bond scam that happened in the country. Now, a warrant has been issued against the former governor of the central bank, Arjuna Mahendran, who failed to appear before court during the proper time frame that was allocated. We remember how the Prime Minister spoke about the former governor in Parliament when he undertook a foreign tour a previous time. We also see another reason. This reason is the results that came out through the local government elections this time around. The UNP only managed to gather about 29% of the total amount of votes in the country. As I said, everyone seems to be talking about this issue, the no-confidence motion against this man behind me, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Everyone seems to be showing a keen interest towards what is going to happen in the coming few days. What is the stance of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party with regard to this motion of no confidence? Let's have a look.
We have announced our stance on countless occasions and we said we cannot work with him. We will decide on the future. Do not panic and do not fear. Everything will be done accordingly. We will vote in support of it and against the Prime Minister. I have already signed it. Yes.
After the local government election, the SLFP requested the President to remove the Prime Minister in order for the national government to move forward. The people have no faith on his actions following the bond scam. The former central bank governor is nowhere to be found. We cannot agree with that. It was like changing the pillow because you have a headache.
The SLFP believe, following the proposed motion of no confidence, there will be a change in the government. We are waiting to see what will happen. I think members from our party will support it and a large number from the UNP will support it as well.
Now, those were the views expressed by SLFP parliamentarians, ministers and deputy ministers who represent the government. We also saw a state minister saying that he placed his signature in the motion of no confidence while another parliamentarian was swishing by next to him. The main question is whether former President Mahinda Rajapaksa will place his signature for the motion of no confidence. We remember how the former president has been silent on various occasions, crucial times, crucial moments for the joint opposition in Parliament. We remember how the former president refrained from placing his signature, or he did not take part at all when there were several key things happening inside the Parliament. Now, what does the joint opposition have to say about the no confidence motion, and what does the former president have to say? Let's have a look.
This will be done with the blessings of Mahinda Rajapaksa. There is no problem. He is ready to sign at any time. Wait and see how we will win. These things have to be decided. We have decided. All the leaders will sign it. There is no problem. The no-confidence motion needs to be debated in Parliament and there needs to be a vote. We are confident there will be more than 113 votes in favour of the motion, which will include the votes of the MPs in the government. However, Ranil is trying to stop this. He is trying to stop this being handed over to the Speaker. He is trying to use people from our camp for this.
Now, if you carefully listen to what Vimal Weerawansa had to say, parliamentarian leader of the National Freedom Front, he said that he will use people from our camp to stop this no confidence from reaching the Speaker of Parliament. Now, who are these people that he is referring to is a question that we have to stop for a moment and think. Now, when the leadership of the United National Party is being threatened, when pressure is mounting on the leader of the party to step down, we have seen the UNP taking various actions to prevent this from going this far. Now, Minister Sajjan Ratnayaka came forward and spoke about restructure at the United National Party. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Office bearers for 2018 have been appointed. It was delayed because of the elections. The party has decided to conclude this by the 31st of March. We have held several rounds of discussions regarding this. A committee was appointed by the Honourable Prime Minister to further study the policies adopted by the government and make suggestions. Sajjan Premadasa was the chairman of that committee. Another committee headed by Ruwan Wijewardena is in place to look into the ideas of the United National Party and the way forward. Both committees held several discussions with the Prime Minister. I am a member of one of those committees. Another committee was appointed consisting backbenchers of the party to ascertain the problems they have, the problems they face when going to the villages, problems they have as new parliamentarians, as well as problems they have when enacting decisions of the government. The committee has looked into all of these. The ideas that will come out of these committees will be discussed with the leaders of the party, and we will speak with the Prime Minister and we will enact the program soon.
Establishing leadership councils when the UNP leadership is threatened is not a new trend for the United National Party. We have seen a similar leadership council back in 2013. Current Speaker Karu Jayasuriya was heading this leadership council back in the day. Several key UNP members were the members of this leadership council. However, we remember how Minister Sajjan Premadasa and Minister Thalatha Tukorala were not they did not take positions in this leadership council back in the day. Now, if you take a look at who appointed this leadership council, it was the working committee of the United National Party. But was it included in the constitution of the party? Were they allowed to do any work as the leadership council thereafter? No, it was not so. Now, the leadership council thereafter died a slow death. It's kind of dissolved. Now, a similar situation, if you take a look at things that is happening now, and Minister Sajjan Ratnayaka speaking to us said that several committees have been appointed, and he mentioned that he too is a member of such a committee. And who did he say that the final decision of the final discussion will be held with? Yes, he said that it will be held with the leader of the United National Party. So will the leadership of the United National Party take a different decision with regards to what he took before when a similar situation was in front of him? That is a question once again. Now, Minister Sajjan also spoke about Minister Sajjan Premadasa being a part of such a committee. He is in the committee to look at things with regard to government policies. Now, if you take a slow look there, we've seen that this committee has actually made some good recommendations with regard to the school uniform material problem, with regard to the fertilizer problem. We've seen things happening, but these other committees, what are they doing? Once again, a question to the public. I said at the outset that the leadership, this pressure on the leadership is mounting from within the party. This is what certain UNPs had to say. Let's have a listen.
The leader of the party has been the leader for 25 years. He was unable to create a UNP government or elect a president from this party. That is why we say a young leader who has the confidence of the party be appointed as the leader of the party for the 2020 presidential election. We cannot go to the village and market you as the leader anymore. Present a clean leader for the 2020 presidential election. This should happen soon. We have received information of a leadership council. There is no point of appointing leadership councils. Hand over the party to a clean leader. The main objective is to appoint a leader who can understand the pulse of the people. The request from the whole country is to hand over the party to a young leader. A leader who can go into a poor man's house and come out of the kitchen door should be appointed. Hand over the country to a young leader. We believe we will be able to come into power in 2020 with a young leader. The party is going from bad to worse with a group who do not have a voter base. We have this message to the leader. The youth of the country request a young leader. We venerate and ask that the party leadership be given to a young, clean leader who knows the plight of the poor.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is back at his usual game within the United National Party. A committee has been appointed to determine if he should remain or leave. Who has been appointed to that committee? Malik Samaravikrama, Sagala Ratnayaka, Mangala Samaravira and Akila Viraj Karyavasam. This is a group that needs to be driven out of the United National Party. So Ranil Wickremesinghe is appointing a committee comprising of members from the club of his confidants to determine whether he should remain or not. This group will never say Ranil Wickremesinghe should leave, because as long as Ranil Wickremesinghe remains, they can remain in politics and survive. During the past 24 years, committees were appointed whenever his leadership was challenged. Nothing arose from those committees. Then he appointed a leadership council, which was a joke. Ranil Wickremesinghe must put a stop to this deception. The people of this country want you to leave. For years, the UNP supporters have been suffering. The UNP supporters are frustrated to the extent they are leaving the party and not wanting to work for the party anymore. The question we have is, why can't you hand over the party to a person who can carry it forward? This issue cannot be solved through the appointment of committees. All we say is, for God's sake, please hand it over to someone and leave.
කරුණා කරලා මේක කාට හරි බාර දීලා යන්නේ කියන එක තමයි අපිට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ.
Several key members of the United National Party also had things to say about this. This is what they had to say.
We believe there will be a big change, a new mechanism and new responsibilities. The leadership has to understand this cannot go on like this forever. When the leader came into that position, I was not even sitting for my ordinary level examination. That is a very long time. We hope he also understands this.
I will think of the country and the party I represent and take the best possible decision. Irrelevant of what I think, 99% of the UNPS think so. We must want what 99% of the party supporters want.
We spoke about the central bank bond scam a short while ago. There were various other scams that happened in our country, especially with regard to Central Expressway as well. Now, if you take a look at all of this, the people who are responsible have walked away without being held responsible for the crimes they have committed, like Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla, who is walking away from the questions that are raised by the journalists. Will walking away from the questions that are raised actually be a solution to the problem? This is what these the ministers, the politicians, do not seem to understand. It's back to the studio. Joel is waiting with more news. Joel, it's back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Chaturanga, for that detailed presentation. With that, moving on to another headline-making story this evening. Well, it is rumoured former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa is to make an entry to politics. But are these rumours true? The former Defence Secretary responded to these questions.
I'm not planning to. I will decide when required.
I
prefer to serve my country in every possible way. It does not matter if I have to be in politics or be first or second or third. What needs to be done has to be done.
On a developing story, the proposal to establish a High Court consisting of 3-member judge benches is being widely discussed. Former Justice Minister Premadasa Rajapaksa commented on the matter.
The Attorney General has the freedom to request the Chief Justice to establish a special High Court which will consist of 3-member judge benches. This is with regard to any public interest matter. We enforced it when it came to the Vidya and Udatala Winner murder trials. That is not a right decided by politicians. It is accepted worldwide. The Attorney General and the Chief Justice have the independence to make that decision. There is no provision in the Constitution to create a special court. When it was discussed in Cabinet and the Attorney General was consulted, he reverted with a 29-page report. There is power to establish such court under the provisions of the 1978 Constitution. Between May last year and February this year, 5,004 pregnant dairy heifers valued at over 2.5 billion rupees were imported to the country as per an agreement reached between the Ministry of Rural Economy and an Australian enterprise. These pregnant dairy heifers were thereafter distributed among farms in the country. However, based on data recorded from the distribution of 880 pregnant dairy heifers, the Auditor General prepared a special report and some of the startling facts were reported on Action TV last week. 3,026 pregnant dairy heifers of the total 5,004 heifers were not covered in the scope of the special audit because those 3,026 pregnant dairy heifers were imported to the country only after the audit was done. According to this report, 1,978 dairy heifers imported initially were distributed among 21 farms. What is astounding is that the report found a majority of these farmers who were given dairy heifers did not possess the expertise to operate a dairy farm. 31 of the 880 pregnant dairy heifers subject to this audit had contracted some form of a disease when reaching the farms, and another 38 heifers contracted diseases after reaching the farms. The government bore a cost of more than 300,000 rupees per pregnant dairy heifer, and it is the responsibility of the ministry to follow up on the 1,978 dairy heifers distributed to farms initially. However, according to the audit report, after the 14th of May 2017, the ministry had only followed up and inspected the farms only on one occasion. The audit report claims the dairy farmers were struggling to find solutions to the issues they faced in operating their dairy farms. According to the Auditor General, one of the issues they did not have a solution was a failure to obtain sufficient milk from these heifers to meet the costs. The 3,026 pregnant dairy heifers who were not included in the audit were imported to the country on the 24th of January. In June last year, the ministry published an advertisement calling for applications and interviews. When considering the number of farmers who were selected, only 1,678 heifers should have been imported as opposed to the 3,026 dairy heifers that were imported. Therefore, the question is why 1,348 extra pregnant dairy heifers were imported and based on whose request was it done? Minister Vijit Vijaymunisoisa deposited 9.8 million rupees to the account of the Ministry of Rural Economy to purchase 50 dairy heifers. However, the government has to incur a cost of 16.5 million rupees for those 50 pregnant dairy heifers in question. Of the 1,978 pregnant dairy heifers imported in May last year, 420 heifers were given to a certain deputy minister at a concessionary rate. When Action TV raised this question, the subject minister responded in the following manner.
මේ හරක්කොලෙන් පහෙන් එකක් 2016 දෙන්න තීරණය කළ ඉවරයි ලක්ෂ්මන් වසන්ත පෙරේරා. සල්ලිත් ගන්නවා. ඉතින් ඔබතුමා මේ මග ළඟ තියෙනවා සල්ලි කියවපු කොලේ.
Lakshman Vasantha Pereira is not the only one who placed money for the purchase of these heifers. There were others.
කියනෝනේ ලක්ෂ්මන් වසන්ත පෙරේරා විතරක් නෙමෙයි තව අයත් බැන්දලු. ඉතින් සල්ලි බැඳපු එකට මොකටද දැන් වෙන්නේ?
මුදලාලිලාට සහන මිලට දෙනවට වැඩිය ලේසි නේද මුදලාලිට උන්නම් ගෙන්න ගන්න කියලා මොකක් හරි දෙන එක. ඒක ජනතාවට නේද රජයේ සල්ලි වලින් සහන දෙන්න ඕනේ. තනකොළ ඕනේ නැහැ නේද? බියර් මන්ඩිනේ දෙන්න හරට.
That is not necessary. There is a feeding process in place.
Another 15,000 dairy heifers are to be imported to the country before the end of this year as per the agreement reached between the Ministry of Rural Development and an Australian enterprise for the development of the dairy industry in Sri Lanka. This means the remaining 75% of funding from the total of over 73 million rupees allocated for the project will leave Sri Lankan shores soon. According to the observations made by the Auditor General, importing 20,000 dairy heifers to the country will lead the way to the extinction of the presently high-grade local dairy cows. It is the Auditor General's observation, importing dairy heifers leading to the extinction of local dairy cows poses a serious risk on the future of the dairy industry in Sri Lanka. Therefore, shouldn't the government announce the decision it will make on further importing dairy heifers to the country? Secretary to the President, this is over to you.
The Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Minister Sajjan Premadasa, declared open the Berrilihala Bridge in Lunugambehera today. Now speaking at the event, Minister Premadasa commented on the aftermath of the local government polls.
The Berrilihala Bridge was constructed at a cost of 23.9 million rupees. No matter what some say, the people have taught us an important lesson at the local government elections. The people gave us time as we face the provincial council elections next. The system was not favourable. The message I received was, if you are wise, change the course of this journey. The President and the Prime Minister have understood that. During the next 2.5 years, the government will be more strong and will introduce a new programme.
Appointment letters to a group of new justices of peace for the Mathura district were presented today.
The event took place concurrent to MP Buddhika Pathirana's birthday at the Mahamantin the Pirivena in Mathura. 150 new justices of peace received appointment letters today. Positions are given to us to serve the people temporarily. During that period, we must work for the people, keeping in mind the mandate and the responsibility. I am giving 150 keys to the 150 individuals here. As I am serving the villagers, you must also go into the village and help the innocent people.
A luxury car had driven into the Devana Oya this morning. The incident was reported from Thalawathugoda.
Police said the luxury car had crashed onto 2 other vehicles before plunging into the water. Police, however, said there were no injuries reported.
At around 6 this morning, a car came travelling at high speed, knocked into 2 other vehicles and fell into the waterway. They fled in a 3-wheeler. They were coming from the club. I did not see them until they came very close at high speed. I applied the brakes and my car turned by 90 degrees. The other vehicles were coming from Thalawathugoda. The car crashed onto them and went into the waterway.
Police uncovered the luxury car in question was owned by a motor sales company located in Colombo 5. The owner nor the driver of the car had failed to appear in police even as of this evening.
According to Reuters, the Department of Census and Statistics withdrew its 2017 full year and 4th quarter gross domestic product data yesterday, a day after posting the island nation's worst economic growth in 16 years.
The data on Thursday showed the economy expanding 3.1% in 2017, the slowest pace in 16 years, and decelerating from 4.4% in 2016. It showed 4th quarter growth slowing to 1.4% year-on-year from 3.74% in the 3rd quarter. Reuters quoted A.J. Sathurasinghe, Director General at the state-run Department of Census and Statistics, as saying, quote, "They got the last set of data at the last minute. However, they released the GDP data, but since this is the last quarter, they need to calculate the full year data and revisions," unquote. A.J. Sathurasinghe had noted the data was withdrawn as the department cannot allow for any mistake to be reported. He had added the data will be released in the coming days.
On to schools cricket, St. Thomas's College Mount Lavinia defeated Royal College Colombo to clinch the 43rd Mustang Trophy today. Well, they won the match by 131 runs.
The Thomians and Royalists battled it out at the SSC grounds in Colombo for the Mustangs Trophy. St. Thomas's College won the toss and elected to bat first. The Thomians posted 216 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in their 50 overs. However, the Royalists could only post 85 runs on the board as they were bundled out in 33.4 overs.
Well, that's a wrap of the weekend edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for stopping by. For more, simply log on to our website www.newsfirst.lk. I'm Zola Outscoon. Take care. Good night.
Уважаемые граждане России, голосование на выборах президента Российской Федерации состоится в Шри-Ланке 18 марта 2018 года с 8 часов утра до 8 часов вечера на избирательном участке номер 8338. расположенном в посольстве России в Коломбо по адресу 404 Баудало Камавата, Коломбо 7. Приглашаем принять участие в голосовании.